Welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am thrilled to have you join me on this transformative journey. You see, every day we dive into a powerful conversation about self-discovery, healing, and empowerment. This podcast is brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery, where we believe that loving yourself is the first step to living a fulfilling life. You can expect insightful discussions, practical tips, and inspiring stories. Plus, we'll occasionally welcome special guests who will share their unique perspectives on self-love and personal growth. So get comfy, grab your favorite beverage, and let's embark on this journey together. Because it's time to embrace the beautiful person that you are. So let's elevate our lives one episode at a time. Now let's get started. All right, hey, my beautiful souls, and welcome to another episode of the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and today we is going to dive into a deep journey of resilience and recovery with our incredible guest, Caroline Sophia Skowron. Caroline is not only an author and an advocate, but she's also a beacon of hope for many facing mental illness, health, and challenges. But today, she's here to share her powerful story and the insights of her book, Unbreakable. But before we talk with Caroline, let's take a quick break, all right? It's your girl, Goddess Nyomi Banks here on the Season of Self-Love podcast, and we'll be right back. What are some common barriers that prevent people from expressing? Hey, it's your girl, Goddess Nyomi Banks here from the Season of Self-Love podcast.
Yeah, I would say remorse. So shame and guilt is a very dividing emotional.
And these are one of the many amazing conversations that we have every day, Monday through Friday, right here on the Season of Self-Love podcast with myself, Nyomi Banks, as well as our resident therapist, Dr. Will Washington of Washington Wellness Institute. Come by.
The reality of our relationships with people.
Come by.
And a lot of times we're afraid of how people look at us. And so that compassion can't enter.
You can hit us on the website, the Season of Self-Love podcast.
Let me ask you this, with the truth, is it...
Hey, my beautiful souls, this is your girl, Goddess Nyomi Banks, and I am excited to share something special with you. Introducing my latest ebook workbook, Healing Beyond the Betrayal, a journey of growth, empowerment, and renewal. In these 55 pages, I offer you insight, heartfelt stories, and practical worksheets designed to guide you on your healing journey. So if you experience betrayal or you are seeking personal growth, this resource is made just for you. You see, it's time to reclaim your power and embrace renewal. So you can get your copy by visiting the seasonofselflovepodcast.com. And as a thank you for being part of our community, use the code HEALED09 at checkout to enjoy a 15% discount. So let's embark on this journey together because you deserve to heal, grow, and thrive. All right, well, welcome back to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I'm your host, Nyomi Banks, and we're talking about healing betrayal, finding the strength in adversity. And joining us is Caroline Sophia Skowron. Caroline is not only an author, but also, I said, she's an advocate and also a beacon of hope. Today, she is to discuss her book, Unbreakable. Caroline, it is such an honor to have you here with us. How are you?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is awesome. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. I know we was having like a little stuff before with both of our sides, but I'm so glad we are able to push through.
Love technology, man. I swear it always loves to go out right when I need it.
Right, exactly. All right, my listeners. So before we start, let's take a moment to center ourselves with a brief meditation, guided meditation, where we can find a comfortable position wherever you are and close your eyes and join us. Let's take a deep breath together. Inhale slowly, filling your lungs with fresh air. Now hold it for a moment. Now exhale any tension that you might be carrying. Now as you continue to breathe deeply, I want you to visualize a gentle wave washing over you. with each wave bringing calm and clarity. With each breath out, I want you to let go of fear. I want you to let go of any doubt. And I want you to remind yourself that you are strong, that you are capable, and that you are not alone in this journey. Now I want you to take one more deep breath in. And out. And when you are ready, gently open your eyes and return to the present moment. And be refreshed and ready to engage. All right. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. If you're new here to the Season of Self-Love podcast, it's something that we do every day, Monday through Friday, where we do a nice little grounding center right before we get into the topic at hand. All right. And again, thank you, Caroline, for joining us. So let's start from the beginning. Can you tell us about your early experiences with mental health and how that set the stage for your advocacy work?
Yeah, I mean, I really can say that, it all goes back to being bullied. When I was in third grade, I got a death threat, and I didn't realize at the time that it kind of was what started to have my self-doubt, my self-deprecation. Why don't people like me? Why don't I belong? The older I got, and when I got into high school, the anxiety and the depression got so much worse, and I struggled a lot with my mental health. It wasn't until I was a sophomore in high school that I found out that I actually had a learning disability called nonverbal, which is you're highly verbal, but you struggle with like conceptual skills and stuff like that. So it was kind of why my anxiety and depression was amplified. I just didn't know it at the time, but it only kind of got worse from there. And that's really how it started.
Wow, that's incredible. Powerful. Moving from those challenges, how did you find the strength to redefine your narrative? And what lessons did you enable in your book? But also, I got a question: is during that time when you realized about your diagnosis? No, answer my first question first. Right?
Which one?
Front of, I was like, wait, because I want to know some more. But let's do that first. Like, from your challenges, how did you find the strength to redefine your narrative?
Yeah, I really think that it all kind of started with a life-threatening car accident. March 2020, I was lucky to be alive. I could have gone flying through the windshield. I grabbed my seatbelt seconds before the accident. It was a hit and run. The car was totaled. It was a blessing that everyone is still alive. And after that was kind of when I realized, and I'm a Christian, so for me, it was God giving me my second chance at life. And I knew that I wasn't going to take that lightly. And that's kind of where the whole, okay, we're lucky to be alive. We're grateful. We have an amazing family and friends. And that's kind of how the book started.
Okay. Now, what lessons, like if they go to the book, what lessons have you embedded within the book, Unbreakable?
I think a big lesson from the book and something that I do hope people take away is that you really have to be careful with how you treat people, because you might not think that your words are affecting them, but words can hurt. And saying mean things to each other is not the answer. And I just really hope that people can understand that their words have a huge impact. And I really hope that people can see that you have to be kind to people because you don't know what they're facing. So that's like a really big thing, because bullying is like the beginning of the book, but I really want that to be a lesson that people take away, because it's so true. Like words really like matter how you say them. And I mean, we don't always say the same thing or the right thing. And like sometimes I literally don't even speak English, but like we all try our best every day. And I think that everyone should be okay and acknowledged for that and not ever get torn down or anything like that. So really, it is about kindness and kind of like, not bullying people. I think that's like a really big thing, because a lot of people don't know and don't advocate for it. And I think we just need to be more aware.
Yeah. Yeah, that one. I want to go back to nonverbal, the nonverbal, that right there. For you, what does that look like for us that don't know what it is or what? Because honestly, this is the first time that I've ever heard of it. What does that look like? What does it sound like?
Yes. So when I first found out, I was very confused as well. But basically, what it is like you struggle, which I struggled a lot with math in sciences. I really struggled with spatial awareness, which some of my best friends explains my parallel parking. They're like, that explains that. And also to just kind of like just being like aware of like where I am spatially is something that like I've had to kind of learn, because I do struggle with seeing things differently with that. But the biggest thing that nonverbal actually has affected me with, and something that I didn't realize at the time, but so kids with nonverbal tend to internalize a lot more than most people. So say you're in a breakup and say that some person's going to get over in a month. It might take you 3 or 4 months because it's just like you let go in a different way. So you really do struggle when people come in and out of your life, because for me at least, I internalized everything, every interaction, everything like that. And, thought that if I was, I thought I wasn't good enough. So that was something it really started to affect me once I like actually understood it. And it's just kind of something that I really am try to be as aware about as I can be now. But it is something that still affects me daily. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's something I have to kind of balance with my mind and mindfulness to really kind of make sure that I'm not going down a rabbit hole like I used to.
Right. So how would one know? How would one be diagnosed? Like, what are the symptoms of that? Because when you hear nonverbal, you think like someone is just not talking.
Yeah, right.
Like for better. So what are the symptoms? So if anyone is out there that's listening right now and have a young child and going through these difficulties, that might can go to their doctor and give them that
Yeah.
knowledge. Yeah.
Well, I'm not a doctor, but from what I've experienced personally, I would say really struggling with conceptual skills and school. Like if you struggle a lot with like math or science, or like for me, it was also, I had so many tutors, and yet I still was not doing well. And if you're working so hard and your results are not adding up, that was kind of when my parents were like, wait a second, this isn't making sense. So that is when I did go get a neuropsych evaluation test. But, I think it's up to the doctor to see like what exactly each individual person needs.
Right. Now for that, what will be a plan for that for you? How were you able to maintain or manage your nonverbal?
I think it's kind of something that you learn every day. I think, this is something I live with, and it's something that I used to feel was me, but it's not my identity. It's just a part of me. But, kids with nonverbal actually have some strengths that others people don't. And I found that out through writing. I found that out through, I also love singing and songwriting, and I love writing songs and coming up with stuff. Like creativity is a lot more what I'm good at. And so I realized that, what, maybe this actually is a strength, and maybe this is my superpower.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. I like that you turned that around. So let me ask you this: as in terms of advocacy, how do you
Mhm.
approach raising awareness, and what impact do you hope to make in these communities, especially among the youth?
Well, I'm very, very passionate about anti-bullying so that we do have less people taking their lives. So I would say really, even if I can help one kid or one person, that's all I want to do. I mean, I want to do this with my life. I want to, be able to have a platform to spread awareness and help people understand that like it's okay not to be okay, and like you're not alone. There's so many people going through similar things to you. And it's just sometimes really easy to lose sight of that, which I tended to do that a lot, which is really kind of why I started with my anxiety and depression. And I just, really want these kids to know like it's for like that 16-year-old me. I'm like, I want that kid to know they are so much more than they think they are right now.
Mhm.
And they have so much life ahead of them. And 16-year-old Carol does not need to compare herself to every other girl, because comparing is the thief of joy. And I've learned, you can't do that either. And so really kind of spreading awareness too of like, be yourself, be who you are. You don't have to fit the mold. No one does. And no one is supposed to, but yet society has made it seem like we have to. And that's where I really want to help make a difference.
That's great. So let me ask you this, because at 16 years old, I didn't have social media This is my question. How do you feel about social media? Do you think there should be an age limit on when parents should allow their children? And it's just as, you know, not you saying yeah, but I just wanted to hear your input. When children should be allowed on the social media?
I'll be honest with you. I don't like social media because I think we have just literally taken it downhill. But I am on it so that I can hopefully promote like kindness and awareness and stuff. Because when I was in high school, that was when Twitter, Instagram, like all of those things were first coming out. So like I saw, you know, the Friday night plans I wasn't invited to on Twitter, and I saw the pictures of the parties I wasn't invited to on the weekends on Instagram. So like it was just the start of that. I was not cool in high school, obviously, but I really, yeah, I did struggle a lot with it, just kind of finding my place and stuff like that. But I will say, like, as a parent, I'm not a parent yet, but I feel like kids, especially because of seeing some of my best friends' kids grow up, I feel like kids definitely need to be at a certain age before they get even a phone, because something like having these kids tell you they're not good enough and not worthy, it breaks your heart. I remember I went to one of my best friend's daughter's party for her birthday, and I said, "Oh my gosh, you look beautiful." And she was like, "No, I don't. I'm ugly." I was like, "You're 7 years old and you already think that about yourself." And it broke my heart. Like, I was like, we have to do something about this. This isn't okay. She should be living her life, and she doesn't even have a phone, no, but she sometimes goes on her mom's. But I'm like, it's just like these kids are growing up in that sense of like having phones at like the age of like 6. Like
Right.
it's just, honestly, I'm not judging any parent. They can do what they think is best for their kids. I think that's really kind of what it comes down to. But I just think personally, social media is destroying this next generation of kids. And social media is the reason why we are having such a decrease in human interaction and in vulnerability.
Yeah. 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 I'm listening to it. When I look at you, I want to go and give you a hug. And let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. In 2020, you said that you was in a car accident. It kind of just changed your whole perspective on things. And anybody else in this world, if that happened, it would have broke down, especially you being diagnosed with nonverbal, taking it in. I'm just so glad that you looked at it from a different perspective. Especially during that time with 2020 where we were all isolated. So if anything, and I'm just speaking into you right now, if anything, this show your strength, you know, because a lot of times when people are isolated and not able to be, you know, connected to people or be out in the world, because at that moment, at that time, we didn't know what was going on. This is something that never happened, that the whole entire world being shut down. But for you to actually, through your trauma, through what you went through, that you was able to see a light. You were actually able to see something to do for someone else, but also to be able to go through your own healing process as well. And so I'm going to say this, I commend you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I truly do. Because even in that moment in time, and we're going to go and talk about this month series that we're talking about, and that's Healing Beyond Betrayal. Through you being bullied from with 3rd grade until probably going into high school for you.
Probably longer.
Okay, probably longer.
I mean, I don't know. My freshman year of college, I almost did try to take my life. So that's kind of why the correlation of wanting to make a difference, because I realized I had 2 chances at almost dying, once by choice and once literally just praying to make it out of there alive. And I knew that wasn't a coincidence. And so that's kind of when my healing process did start, because I was like, I'm so blessed to be alive. Like I had this new appreciation for life that I didn't even know I could have.
Right. So ask me this, because that is something that's deep. That's deep. I just take a quick breath. And it's not a judgment, but because I feel you right now. I feel you, and I feel everything that's happening. Tell my listeners, how did you get through that? Now, I like, what was like when you say, okay, Caroline, I want to live. Why do I want to live? You know, how do I get through this every day? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I think it literally all goes back to knowing your self-worth and knowing that you have a purpose, you have a reason for being here. Everyone has a story that they can tell, because everyone should be able to use their voice. And for so long, I was, silently struggling, but I realized that by using my voice, I could impact and help other kids who are struggling. So my hope is that by the kids who are silently struggling see me and be like, wait a second, I can be open about this, and just like create a community of people coming together and realizing that like we can get through this together, and like life doesn't have to be so like, trying to like hurt each other, because I feel like so much of life is, especially in high school and college and stuff, it's like you're in this weird situation of like, okay, like who am I? Who am I? And like, why do I belong? And you're not thinking like that when you're 15. I mean, I was not thinking like that when I was 15. But I think the biggest thing that I always say is I say, find a passion that makes you happy.
Yeah.
And they always go to something. And one person was like, art. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not a therapist, but like, why don't you cope with that? Why don't you do that? Why don't you try to do that? And really kind of just like find healthy coping mechanisms. I think that's the key to getting through life is healthy coping. See, I told you sometimes can't talk. Like the healthy coping, and just kind of realizing that like there are ways to get through life, and getting a strong support system is so essential. And that is something I believe everyone deserves. And that is exactly why I wrote Unbreakable, because I want to build a community. I want to build a sense of, hey, you're having a bad day, let's talk about it. Or make social media great, like make it positive, things that are going to like actually help people. And I think like that's the biggest thing I always say. And more than that too, I just say, I was like, there's so much more for you, and you have to believe. I was like, I don't care what you believe in, find something to believe in. Because I feel like once I started to, not to get like, but I am Christian, and once I started to really kind of follow my faith, I kind of noticed a difference in my life. And I'm like, so for you, if it's like God's or higher power, whatever it is, find something to believe in, because that is what is going to keep you going. And faith is everything.
All right. So let me ask you this, because I'm very spiritual. I'm about God and understand exactly what the connection of God. And I heard that you're a Christian. I was a Christian, baptized and all that. And this is going to be a question. Have you found faith in yourself?
Yes. And I think I found faith in myself through God, and through believing that in my support system, like picking me back up when I was down, and, realizing how amazing life can be when you have your people and you have this and you're actually happy. And that's something I dreamed of. I dreamed of being happy. I remember I was so depressed in college, and like now, like without any outside force, I'm just happy. And I'm very like, every day I'm still learning, but I'm really trying to love myself as much as I can every day, and definitely self-care as well.
I love this for you. I do. I love this for you, because I see you coming out the darkness into the light, and it looks good. It looks good. It looks good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't even know if I want to ask this question, but I have to, because this is what the show is about. The healing beyond betrayal. This is our whole series of this month. And I want to kind of just come on theme with this for a moment. Can you discuss how your self-betrayal played? Because, so let me come back. Let me come back. Through the time you were in third grade, going into your college and adulthood, has there ever been a moment that you felt betrayal from others? Well, I know you have from others and from yourself.
For sure. I feel like there's always a moment where there's always something in life that you're gonna do, and you're gonna be like, I think the betrayal of yourself all goes back to like loving yourself. It's a fine line of like when you hate yourself and you want to betray yourself, which I totally did by like doing unhealthy coping, which I had to learn healthy coping, which made my life so much better. But I would really say it like it's like betrayal to self-love. That's kind of how I see it. And because when you betray yourself, you're not taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
When you betray yourself, you're hurting yourself. You're not in a good place. And I think that when you learn to kind of like, hey, I am awesome. I am cool. I do deserve someone who worships the ground I walk on. Like, not even in a cocky way, but it's just like learning how like to know your worth and know that by loving yourself, other people will see that you love yourself and they'll be like, wait a second, this is someone I want to be around. And it's really all like about too, just like spreading positive energy and like being nice to everyone because you just don't know what someone else is going through.
Right, right. You are so true. You know, earlier, you talked about using our words. I said impeccable, but using, great words. There's a book, and I don't know if you read it before. It's called The Four Agreements by Miguel Ruiz. It's an amazing book. You should read it. It has 4 agreements. The first agreement is use our words impeccably, because as you say, words are powerful. Words are magic. When I first read that book, it kind of changed my whole perspective of even my relationships with people, even when my relationships with people. I believe the second one is don't take it personal, or it's not about you. One of them like that. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of times we make up stories in our head, where somebody might think about us, and stuff like that. And it could be further from the truth, but we have already talked ourselves into that.
I was the queen of that.
Yeah.
Literally making up these little stories in my head of like, so this person really hates you because they looked at you this way and all stuff. And then you just go down like this whole rabbit hole.
Yeah. But it's an amazing book. And just as you were saying that, it just kind of like ting, ting, ting. And I said, okay, I'll make sure that I'm going to ask her that before we get off of here about that. And actually say, go check that book out. It's a really good book. And
what is it? I'll write it.
It's called The Four Agreements.
Okay.
By Miguel Ruiz, Ruiz. And it's an amazing book. It's an amazing book. It really is. And then once you read it, hit me up and say, yeah, Nyomi. It's good.
I will. I'll tell you how I like it. I'll have to Amazon it though, because if I go to Barnes & Noble, I might actually end up with more books than I need, which is so funny because I used to hate Barnes & Noble and I hated reading, and now like I love it.
Yeah, I think that book alone would be very great, because then it might be, you got an Unbreakable, and then it might go on to another series and another. I'm just speaking to you, baby. Just go on and on and on and on. Because with your advocacy, especially with talking to youth, I think it could be amazing. Truly, really could be very amazing. You have a lot of people that go through, a lot of the kids, especially right now, that go through those teenage years, from teenage, well, actually preteen to teenage into adulthood, and don't know how to transition to each one of those times. Because even, you can have a friend that you have in 4th, 5th, 6th grade. As soon as you go to middle school, there's a whole new environment of people. And that friendship that you had early on is no longer there. So what do you do with it? You understand what I'm saying? And for you definitely going through, you've been on the end of being bullied. So now you can use some of those tools that got you through to teach the other children or the other teenagers on how to get through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's definitely, that's the biggest thing though too, is like, and that's also why Unbreakable is, that word means a lot to me, because not only did I realize that I was unbreakable, but I feel like we all can be unbreakable, because life throws things at you day in and day out, and you'll get knocked down and people will betray you and hurt you and but good will happen too. But through all of it, you're not going to break, because you're unbreakable and your life is unbreakable. And that's how I try to see mine now, because I'm like, you know what? I'm unbreakable. If someone wants to betray me, fine. I'm unbreakable. Like, I'll move on, So I think it's just kind of knowing like something to really follow and be like, wait a second, like this is how I should be living my life. But also when you're a kid, your brain's not fully developed, so you're not thinking like that. But I think that, really knowing that Unbreakable is more than just a book, it's more than just a brand. It's a word that I just think everyone needs to tap into, because we all can make it through if we just keep going and stay resilient, because resilience only makes you stronger. Yes. And you never know how much you could help someone just by even speaking your truth.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful.
Thank
Thank you. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. So look, that was it. It was simple. That was,
Okay.
yeah, that was beautiful. Well, as we wrap up, I love for our listeners to reflect on their journeys. But if you have any questions or stories that you'd like to share, please reach out through social media channels. And Caroline, is there anything, any advice, anything else? I want to give your handles, where they can find a book at,
Oh
whatever
yeah.
you can share. Yeah.
So my website's actually carolinesophia.com, and it's with PHIA. And you can get the book on there, and you can look at like other things for like speaking engagements, because I'm a speaker as well, and really just anything like that. Or you can also go to my Instagram, which is carolyn.scowron. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. And I have my link tree there. So I have like my TikTok and all that stuff there, because TikTok also too, if you are in high school, watch the TikTok series that I have is So High School. Yes, I love Taylor Swift, but I called this series So High School because I wanted to make a series that's really going to help high schoolers. So definitely check it out if you're in high school.
I love that. So high school.
How did my AirPod just fall out of my ear? I'm really having a beautiful day. Okay.
Yeah. I love that. That's so high school. Actually, I would love to bring you back on to speak on that, particularly on that series right there.
Sure.
I think it's much needed. It truly is much needed for that. But again, thank you, Caroline.
Yeah, thank you.
For and inspiring conversations. To everyone listening, don't forget to check out Caroline's book and follow her work. Stay tuned for more empowering stories here on the Season of Self-Love. And remember, love yourself, embrace your journey, and keep shining until next time. Take care.
Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovering and empowerment here at the Season of Self-Love podcast. Remember, embracing self-love is a continuous journey, and we're so glad to have you with us. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review. And don't forget to join our community on Facebook at Season of Self-Love. Connect with like-minded individuals who are also on their self-love journey. Now, if you have any questions or topics that you'd like for us to explore, we love to hear from you. Email us at seasonofselflove@gmail.com and let your voice be heard. So until next time, take a moment for yourself today and remember, you are worthy of love, joy, and all the beautiful things that life has to offer.